Glad to have you with us here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by. As OTAs rolls on for your Seattle Seahawks, we'll break down some of the key position battles to watch throughout OTAs leading into training camp here in the next couple of months. We'll go over what we're watching for and break down each situation in just a matter of moments. Before we do, I want to set the comment record. I want to see if we can get over 1,000 comments today shouting out your favorite Seahawks player. Let's say that it's, I don't know, Tyler Lockett, Rick Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, DK Metcalf, Geno Smith. I don't care who it is. Show some love for your favorite Seahawks player. Spam them in the chat, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with the wide receiver 2 battle between Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith-njigba. And what's interesting is with both these two, I don't think their roles are going to change necessarily. I think that JSN is primarily going to be a slot guy and Lockett on the outside, as we've seen. But what I am watching for is the volume of things changing. Does JSN take that next step to pass up Tyler Lockett when it comes to his role in the offense, right? When it comes to the volume of catches and targets and all that, is this time for JSN to potentially take over and take that next step? Because what we saw last year, Tyler Lockett had a solid season, don't get me wrong, but it was the worst year of his career that he's had in the last 4 or 5 plus seasons, right? Didn't reach 1,000 yards for the first time in 4 years. Well, JSN had a very solid rookie campaign with over 600 yards receiving, 63 receptions, 10 yards of reception, 93 targets. And what I see going forward, too, when it comes to these two, is that we've talked about this on the channel before, that Tyler Lockett's cap hit next year is around $30+ million. This, in all likelihood, is going to be Tyler Lockett's final season with the Seattle Seahawks. So with that in mind, with knowing that JSN is the future, because the Seahawks simply can't afford to pay Tyler Lockett $30 million next year, do we see the mantle, the torch, if you will, be passed? I don't think that Lockett is necessarily in danger of losing his job, if you will, right now at this very moment. But I think that as this season goes along, we'll see Smith-Njigba's role increase, and I think he's ultimately going to have a bigger year than Tyler Lockett when it's all said and done. I think it's a gradual transition, if you will, between these two. Who is going to be the wide receiver 2 for the Seattle Seahawks in 2024? Is it JSN or is it Tyler Lockett? Type JSN for Jackson Smith-Njigba. Type TL for Tyler Lockett. Let us know in the comment section below. We are covering Seahawks OTAs throughout the next several days here on the channel with all the latest happenings on your favorite team. Any updates we get, news and rumors on OTAs, we're going to keep you posted about it. But it doesn't stop there. We're going to be all over it when it comes to mandatory minicamp and when we get to training camp and everything between. We are your Seahawks offseason headquarters. Subscribe now. Help us reach our next milestone of 52.5 thousand subscribers. Just over 200 subs away from reaching that next mark. Join the family. Never miss a moment. Lock us in for free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV to subscribe now. Let's talk about the offensive guard position. You got 2 spots and 3 candidates for the starting guard spots. They include Laken Tomlinson, who the Seahawks signed in free agency from the New York Jets. They also include the second-year player Anthony Bradford, and then there's the rookie third-round pick, Christian Haynes. The lineup that we're projecting right now is Tomlinson to start at the left guard spot, Haynes to start at the right guard spot, and Bradford to back up both guard positions. I think that's the most likely outcome here. But what could happen over the coming weeks is if Haynes and Bradford both shine and play well, and this could carry into the preseason as well, there's a possibility that we could end up seeing Haynes and Bradford win the starting guard jobs and Tomlinson be the odd man out, whether he is the backup or gets released, whatever it may be, because although Tomlinson's a former Pro Bowler back in 2021 with the San Francisco 49ers, He's coming off a year that was pretty disappointing there in New York. His overall grade was just a 55. He allowed 7 sacks, 10 hits, 34 hurries, got called for 3 penalties. That's not going to be good enough. The Seahawks are going to need more out of Laken Tomlinson than what the New York Jets got out of him last year. Comparatively speaking to a guy like Christian Haynes, Christian Haynes comes in off of a year with the Yukon Huskies where he was an All-American for the 2nd straight year and also was somebody that did everything well right when it came to pass blocking and run blocking, didn't allow more than 1 sack last year. Obviously, things are different at the college level, but expectations are high for Christian Haynes to come in and compete right away. Anthony Bradford, jury's still out on him. Last year, we saw him in nearly 700 snaps, and the grade wasn't great for Anthony Bradford last year, a 51.7, but the silver lining, he did only allow 1 sack as far as that goes. So Anthony Bradford's got work to do. I would say the early edge is to Tomlinson between these three of getting a starting job with the veteran experience, but I expect Haynes and Bradford to fight till the very end for a starting right guard spot. And one thing to think about as well, if last year taught us anything for the Seattle Seahawks, is that depth is so important, specifically at the offensive line spot, that let's say that Haynes or Bradford win the job and one of them's backing up, I would still expect that whoever doesn't win the job will still see significant playing time, whether it's rotationally or as a backup, whatever it may be. So very competitive, I think, down to these two at the very end. We'll see how it plays out. Who's starting at right guard? Is it going to be Anthony Bradford or is it going to be Christian Haynes? Well, in the comment section, let us know what you think. AB for Anthony Bradford, CH for Christian Haynes. Chime in. One player I'm so excited about for your Seattle Seahawks is Byron Murphy II, the rookie out of the University of Texas, the Seahawks' first-round pick. We got his jerseys on sale now. He's going to be wearing the number 91. When you order this jersey, you're getting the number 91 jersey, folks. And we have the home jersey. We got the road jersey. We got men's and women's options, all different sizes for you. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Murphy to get your Byron Murphy jerseys today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Might even stumble upon some free shipping as well. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Murphy. Next up, let's go to the defensive line. And I got a lot of questions when it comes to this defensive line. And I'll be honest, not a ton of answers exactly what this will look like. We got quite the battle going on here, which I think is highlighted specifically by Byron Murphy, Jarran Reed, and Dre'Mont Jones. Now, Dre'Mont Jones could be playing some edge. We've heard some rumblings about that. So that's a possibility there, something to keep in mind here. But think about this, right? Leonard Williams is locked in. We know he's going to be a starter. Jarran Reed coming off a solid 2023, but he struggled when it came to run defense. And with the way the Seahawks are going to mix things up with the 3-4 and the 4-3, Mike Macdonald and AD are going to be looking for defensive linemen that can stop the run well. So that goes against Jarran Reed there. And then Byron Murphy. How quickly does he come along in this process? How fast does he develop when it comes to OTAs? You used a first-round pick on him. So the expectation is that he should get a lot of playing time right away, but is he ready? And then Dre'Mont Jones, do you potentially put him on the defensive line? And then Jonathan Hankins, we know, is going to be a backup, a rotational piece, a very good backup at that. But you look at the numbers here. Jarran Reed, coming off the best season he's had in the last 4 years. But that run defense issue is going to be a concern as far as that goes, especially if he has to move around the defensive line. Byron Murphy last year was fantastic at the University of Texas, but we've heard Mike Macdonald say that he needs to cut some weight a little bit, get into better football shape. And then Dre'Mont Jones, who had a very disappointing year last year, the highest paid player on this Seahawks defense, getting $18+ million this upcoming season. The Seahawks, I think, want every reason to put Dre'Mont Jones on the field as much as possible with the money he's being paid, but he's still going to have to earn it. The only guarantee is Leonard Williams is starting like week 1. Leonard Williams was the Seahawks' best defensive player in the second half of the year last year. But other than that, everything's up for grabs at this point in time. We'll see how it plays out. So, between Byron Murphy and Dre'Mont Jones, let's take Jarran Reed out of the equation for a second here. Who would you be starting on that defensive line for Seattle? Would you go Byron Murphy or would you go Dre'Mont Jones? Type BM for Byron Murphy, type DJ for Dre'Mont Jones. Let us know what you think. All right, last on our list is the outside corner position, the left cornerback spot. We know Rick Woolen is going to be on one side. Devin Witherspoon in that nickelback, that floater role, which he played so great in last year. I'd be surprised if the Seahawks moved him to outside. So that leaves us with a question of what Seattle does at outside corner. You just restructured Mike Jackson's contract, so you got to think Mike Jackson is going to stick around. But Trey Brown, we've seen flashes of. We've seen some brilliance from Trey Brown. I still think back to that Lions game last year when he had that interception and was so good, but he struggled to stay healthy over the years. And you look at the statistics between these two. Last year, Mike Jackson played in more games than Trey Brown did, but the numbers pretty similar between the two. Brown had the edge in pass breakups and in interceptions, same numbers with tackles and tackles for loss, and Trey Brown played in 2 less games. I think this is a toss-up that could really go either direction between Mike Jackson and Trey Brown. And what could happen, too, here's a possibility to think about, folks. This could be a loser leaves town situation when it's all settled between Mike Jackson and Trey Brown. Here's what I mean by that. There's enough teams out there that need starter caliber corners, and both these two are starter caliber corners in the NFL, that the Seahawks, by the time they decide who wins the job, they could trade the other piece to try to go get some draft capital, especially when you have the young corners the Seahawks have invested in with their selections of the Auburn Cats and among others there with that roster. We'll see how it all plays out. And think about this, too. Rick Woolen, he's got some pressure on him coming off a disappointing second season where he really struggled to tackle. They're going to need him to play like he did his rookie year, not the version we saw last year. So very competitive cornerback room, specifically with these two, Mike Jackson and Trey Brown. Who would be your starting outside corner between these two? Would you go Mike Jackson or would you go Trey Brown? Type MJ for Mike Jackson. Type Trey for Trey Brown. Let us know in the comment section. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks.